Welcome you to.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming and being here today. We know how busy everyone is with this crazy year that we've all been through, but we really appreciate you being here. As you know, first of all, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Rosie Ornelas, and I am the chair of the Economic Development Collaborative Roundtable. I'm with the city of Oxnard, and I am the Economic Development Manager with the city of Oxnard. And I want to welcome all of you here and thank you for what you do every day. It truly makes a difference. And as you're going to be hearing in a little while, filming is one of the industries that was most impacted last year. However, I think that we're going to be making up for it. So we're excited to hear all about what is happening in this industry. And I just want to go over a couple of logistics. If anyone is having technical difficulties, please put it in the chat. We have a great team with us who is going to be working on getting everybody set up and making sure everything is running smoothly. And also answering a couple of questions that we're sure to get. We are recording this event and we will be emailing it out to everyone who is in attendance. So let's get started. We are going to start with brief introductions from everyone, and Bill Bartels is going to be calling everyone out by jurisdiction. So Bill, take it away.
City of Oxnard. If people could introduce themselves.
Cervantes, Parks Maintenance Supervisor for the City of Oxnard.
Kevin Thompson, Parks Manager for City of Oxnard.
Roy Peacock, Oxnard Fire Department.
I generally hold off on signing out.
Sergeant Rocky Marquez, Oxnard Police Department.
Until the executive time.
Randy Baez, City of Oxnard Planning.
Anybody else from Oxnard? City of Camarillo?
Good morning, George Winkler here, City of Camarillo, Economic Development Coordinator. And I believe I am the only representative from Camarillo on the call today.
Thank you, George. City of Moore Park?
Well, this is PJ Gagan, Assistant City Manager, City of Moore Park. Sorry, I'm not on can't show my video right now, but
a meeting.
Good morning, everybody.
And this is Philip Newman. I'm the planning technician over at the City of Moore Park.
Anybody else from Moore Park? City of Ojai?
Hi, Andrea Mackey, City of Ojai, City Manager's Office. And I am the only one representing my city as well.
Thank you. City of Port Hueneme?
Hello, Stephen Omkrantz, Engineering Aide, City of Port Hueneme. I'm the only one representing the city today.
Thank you, sir. City of Simi Valley?
Good morning, Linda Swan, representing City of Simi Valley, and I believe Heidi is also on the Zoom.
I am, as well as Kelly Tinker. I saw we're all from City Manager's Office, City of Simi Valley.
Hi, I'm Nikki Davey. I'm from Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District.
Thank you, Nikki. City of Ventura?
Hi, Bill. It's Emily Fox with City of Ventura from the Parks and Recreation Department. I oversee the Community Partnerships Division that manages our film permitting. And I may be the only one attending from City of Ventura today.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, it's Carrie Glenn with the City of Ventura, Economic Development Division in the City Manager's Office. And I think, Emily, Allison is also on the line as well.
I am, yes. Allison Debe, also with the Parks and Recreation Department, City of Ventura.
County of Ventura Planning? Geraldine, you're muted. Hi, everyone. My name is Jerry Lynn. I coordinate the film permit program for the County of Ventura unincorporated areas.
And I'm Trisha Meyer. I am Jerry Lynn's
manager and the planning programs manager in the planning division. So good to see you again, Bill. It's been a few years.
It has, Tricia. Ventura County Public Works.
Yes, I'm Gerald Weeks Jr. I'm the permits engineer. I manage the permit section.
Glenn DeRossett, engineering manager, planning and permits, County of Ventura.
Event coordination, County of Ventura.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Paris. I'm with General Services Agency, County of Ventura. I do the film permits for county facilities and grounds.
Thank you. County Fire. County Executive's Office.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Stamper, Deputy CIO with the county.
Hi, I'm Gloria Martinez, Economic Vitality Manager with the County of Ventura.
Mountains Recreation Conservation.
Hi, Ranger Jewel Johnson, Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. I do the film permits for the agency.
Thank you, Jewel. Santa Paula Chamber.
Hi, Carlos Arajon, Santa Paula Chamber of Commerce, filming manager.
Yeah, and I'm John Marcus. I'm the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce, and I think we're the only ones representing the city. We handle all the community and business interaction with the film company.
I also see we've got two other Public Works folks, Luis Gonzalez and I lost them now. Scott, right?
Scott Greer.
Thank you, Scott.
Sorry, Scott Greer, engineering technician, permit section. Sorry, bad audio.
No problem. Ventura County Fairgrounds. All right.
Sorry about that. I was muted. Yeah, Jason Emilio, sales manager, Ventura County Fairgrounds. I handle our events, contracts, all that fun stuff.
And industry liaison for Warner's and Viacom.
Michael Walbrick's here from Warner Brothers, Warner Media. And, you know, we've got a long history of filming out in Ventura, from Piru to Fillmore to Simi to Moore Park and out to Ventura, City of Ventura. So happy to be here.
Hey, Bill, Guy from Viacom CBS here.
And then I want to go back to Film Simi Valley.
Well, I'm one of the participants of Film Simi Valley, but
right,
I don't know whether anybody else is on the line from that commission.
I thought Lamia was on.
Oh, okay.
So Lamia's here. Did I miss anybody?
Luis Gonzalez.
Thank you, Luis.
Come on, Luis.
Anyone
And
else?
City of Thousand Oaks.
Jamie Flutton, oh, hi.
Thank you, Jamie.
Andy Werner. I'm with County of Ventura Harbor Department, Channel Islands Harbor.
Thank
I'm
you,
the
Andy.
harbor captain. Do the film permits down here.
Hi, everybody. Lema Scarzoy, Film Simi Valley.
Excellent.
Good morning, everybody. Haydar Awami, Economic Development Manager, City of Thousand Oaks.
Sorry, Hader.
That's okay.
Anyone else?
Hi, it's Eric Klosterman with California Film Commission.
Thank you, Eric.
And Lee Flores with the California Film Commission.
Thank you, Lee. Bruce?
It's my turn. All right. Thanks all. Thanks for being here. I've got about a 5-minute thing I'm going to punish you with, some comments. I'm Bruce Stensley, President and CEO of the Economic Development Collaborative. We're regional economic development, but we also serve quite proudly for I think, a good 20 years now, and more robustly about the last 10 years as the Ventura County Film Commission. So I guess that gives me some sort of title as film commissioner, which is almost as ridiculous as my title as president and CEO, but proud of them both. I'm going to try and hit four things real quickly. Just obviously some thanks and additional welcoming. The obligatory comments about pandemic that you can't get around in any environment without acknowledging. A couple of things more specifically about film and Film Ventura County, and then moving forward. We'll see if we can knock that out in 5 minutes or less. So the thanks are pretty easy. It was great to see everyone here. It is great. Great representation from the diversity of permitting agencies and the larger sort of, I guess you would call it, ecosystem of filming in Ventura County that makes it work. It is an extraordinarily collaborative process to get film done, and we appreciate all of the roles from permitting to public safety to the private sector to whatever navigation that it takes, and so appreciative of that. And I know the county especially has a ton of that work because of all the activity that happens in the unincorporated area, but in the cities as well, and those other jurisdictions. Bill, remind me, what do we have, something like 26 or 28 permitting jurisdictions in the county? Is that? So it takes a lot of collaboration.
35.
Okay, I was 20% short, so we're at 35. So anyway, thanks. But on pandemic, you know, it's been, I suppose you would say, a roller coaster or maybe a thriller movie ride this last year, and we don't need to be reminded of that. But there are a couple of points that I would like to recall for us all. You know, pandemic came and stomped us all really hard in last March and April a year ago. But really interestingly, film made a real rush in return, not in, you know, in complete, but you may remember back in June and July, and yet even I think late May, there was a whole lot of activity going on when we thought we were getting pandemic a little bit more under control. And I think it's worth recalling that that resurgence of some filming at that period was almost entirely to some incredible work that was done between the film industry, producers, and labor, and everybody in between coming up with safety protocols. In Ventura County, the public health, Bob Levin, the health officer, county planning, and others figuring out a way to implement some of those emergency restrictions. Tragically, of course, pandemic COVID-19 came raging back later in the fall and slowed things down. But I think it's worth remembering the degree to which there was some real collaborative work that got things back on track and gave us a foundation for moving forward. You know, moving forward and talking even more about pandemic and film, what we mostly recall about pandemic and in the world that I live in is we identify, you know, what were the disproportionate impacts of COVID-19. And as the chamber folks, Jamie and John and others can tell us, you know, that was retail and the services sector, and in particular, the hospitality, the food and the restaurants, the lodging, all took an incredible beating, and their workers took a beating, and the business owners. But arts and entertainment equally so. And arts and entertainment is visible only in parts of it, right? We know the venues, and now we're talking about shuttered venue resources, the theaters and so on. But the film ecosystem is so much more complicated than that, from identifying locations, scouting locations, to the actual filming, to the post-production. It is a wildly collaborative process. And we just need to remember, and I think it's a sobering thing for us all to remember, the degree to which that sector, this sector, your sector, took a beating. I think there was a report from the Otis group that does, in collaboration with others in LA, you know, the creative economy analysis. I believe it conservatively around 100,000 jobs in the LA region in the arts and entertainment sector and digital media were lost and are, of course, coming back. We have to remember that Los Angeles and Ventura County with it, of course, is sort of the heart of the industry in the world in America. And unfortunately, being the heart of an industry during a pandemic means it took also a wildly disproportionate share of the impact. And that is painful, and we need to be really thoughtful about it and we're thrilled to see that it's now coming back. I've read recently that it looks like we're maybe at about 60% of the level of activity that we might have been without, and others in the room, Eric, I'm sure, and Lee can give me better data than that, but at least we're seeing that we're coming back. So finally, I'm going long already, but moving forward, actually what Bill wanted me to talk about is more what's going on in Ventura County. And what is really cool in Ventura County is over the last 10 years, we have seen a steady year by year stepping up of more film activity in Ventura County. And that owes to three variables, we believe. Number one, it's of course the extraordinary location, cool place that is Ventura County with the diversity of location opportunities. It is of course the facilitation, the navigation, the collaboration that is represented by all of you here today doing the permitting. Permitting isn't just regulating, permitting is collaborating and figuring out problem solving, and we so appreciate the problem solving dimension of figuring out how we get film to contribute. And then third, it's that with Bill's leadership, our film liaison, and working with all of you, and how we're getting better at tracking actually what's going on in Ventura County so we can document that it's minimally a $76 million enterprise just generated out of the permits that we're able to track. And we know that's wildly undercounted. Another indicator that I thought was interesting is several months ago, I believe the Film Commission released its report on the tax credit benefits. And except for Los Angeles County, of course, Ventura County was one of the highest beneficiaries of tax credits in the state. We were a bit behind San Diego, behind a handful of East Bay counties that wildly benefited from a single production, but plowing out a ton of activity in Ventura County. So we know by all indicators that film is happening, and we know that it's happening in Ventura County because all you guys coordinated so well. Finally, what we know is that film is going to come back really strong in Ventura County because of all of you, because we're adjacent to where it happens, because we've got the versatility to manage the resurgence. And all we're doing today is looking forward to embracing that, recognizing what has happened behind us, and appreciating where we're going forward. Bill, that's all I have. I believe it is my role next to kick it over to the California Film Commission folks. Lee Flores, who I've not met, and I am so appreciative of your being here. Lee is the Deputy Director of the California Film Commission. We met Eric Klosterman, who does the permitting team management, whenever we met last as this group. And I can't possibly do Lee's resume justice. Let's just say that she is politically connected, she's industry connected, and she must be one hell of a problem solver to have her resume. Lee, if you want to hop in, we'd be thrilled to hear from you.
Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that. I'm going to kick, to your point of, the permits are coming back. I'm going to kick that over to Eric, but I just want to quickly introduce myself, Lee Flores, the new Deputy Director here at the California Film Commission. I look forward to learning. I'm anxious to this will be my first permitting meeting that I'm sitting in on. So I'm gonna make lots of notes, and I appreciate everyone. And please let me know if I can ever be of help, because Bruce's note on the problem solving is pretty much the main strain of my resume. So I'm here, but I'm gonna kick it over to Eric. Thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everyone again. We got together last year just before the pandemic, and that was a lot of fun. As far as my report regarding state permits in Ventura County, the pace of permitting activity has, for Caltrans and state parks permits in Ventura County, has nearly returned to pre-pandemic levels. We issued 15 Caltrans permits and 29 state parks permits for filming between January 1st, 2020 and March 16th, 2020, for a total of 44. We have issued 13 Caltrans permits and 29 state parks permits for filming between January 1st and March 16th, of 2021. So for a total of 42. So we're getting close to the level we had before the pandemic. For the year, for last year, between March and December, we did a total of 63 permits with no permits between March 17th and June 15th. As Bruce said, film production picked up again in June once the protocols were accepted. Again, it increased again in late September when the industry guidelines came out as well. It slowed down again around Christmas, as it usually does. And then that Christmas hiatus was extended because of the resurgence of the pandemic. But so far, things have, as I said, have picked up. Last year, for the total of 2020, we issued 107 permits for filming on state property in Ventura County. And we have issued so far already this year 70 permits as of yesterday, with more in the pipeline, I'm sure. So as Bruce alluded to, things are picking up. State parks and Caltrans are still requiring COVID-19 safety plans that meet or exceed the county standards for each permit. And yeah, I look forward to production continuing to build and maintain levels we had in the past. So it's good. That's about it. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Eric or Bill? Do you want to do some dialogue here, or you want to hop to the next piece?
Let's go ahead and hop to the next piece, and then we'll come back to talking about the pieces.
Then I think it's to you.
So we've had the luxury this year of having Jennifer Quesada, who is a Civic Spark Fellow, deal with the growing concern that the tribal knowledge that is Ventura County rests a lot in my head. And while I appreciate knowing the systems and knowing the people and those connections, the COVID has made it really clear that that tribal knowledge has to be documented. And so Jen's resiliency project has been to do that download and then to help on the front and back end of really looking at our website and how we deal with information, how we deal with permitting, and how we create some dynamism in that. And so she's prepared a bit of a PowerPoint and a video to sort of start to frame that. So I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer Quesada.
Thank you so much, Bill. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So, good morning to you all, first of all. So, climate disasters, both predictable and unpredictable, have cost North America around $415 billion in the past 3 years, and this has been mostly due to wildfires and hurricanes. So people typically grow to be adaptable in these situations through the usage of resources, and it may lead to preventative measures or something similar to lessen the negative impact of a natural disaster in the future. Now, this presentation isn't about the effects of natural disasters, but there is a parallel between the way these events are dealt with and our current adjustment to the pandemic. And the pandemic has economically impacted the whole world, including filming and the film permitting process. As many of you may have seen, there was a drop of permitting, which caused the number of permits given in Ventura County to be about 1/3 of the permits, or half of the film days seen in 2019. So today, based on this impact, I'll be presenting you some tools or a base for resiliency, which for all stakeholders would serve as a resource to raise resilience within film permitting. These resources are essentially a simplification of the film permitting process, which would allow all stakeholders to understand the ins and outs of film permitting, to then see their role within it, including how they benefit from it. And the goals, one of the goals is for it to be efficient for all and to serve as an asset for any hazardous event. And so my name is Jennifer Casala. I am a Civic Spark Resiliency Fellow, and I'm working at the EDC Film Division, as Bill mentioned. And my project focuses on building a resilient system for future hazardous events. And today I'll be presenting to you the internal/external resource that I've created to push forward this goal. So as mentioned, many of you are aware of the decline of film permitting that occurred last March and the subsequent incline with the new regulations, which might have led your jurisdiction to receive either more or less requests during this pandemic. And since you're all engaged in this process as a permitting figure, this resource will be there also for you to understand the process from another perspective and what it entails, and to see how you're all connected in the benefits of filming in Ventura County. I'll also be showing a second resource, which is the restructured Ventura County Film Commission website, which I'll be reorganizing for your benefit as well, because it will be providing clearer messaging to the productions on how to find information more easily, which would in return lead to more direct communication with the necessary jurisdictions. So to begin, I'll be showing you an image of a possible filming location. And this is a site that may be used in the Green Lantern film, which is currently in pre-production. And it will also give you an idea of the complexity of film permitting. Secondly, I'll be presenting you my GIS map resource through a video tour. And lastly, I'll show you a sample of a template that I've been working on for the website. So this image here, the image represents a scenario of how film productions need to go through more than 2 to 3 film permits in Ventura County, and it marks how complex it can become. So with just this shot, around 10 to 11 permits and agreements are being engaged. So these permits stretch from federal to local jurisdictions, and in times there are obstacles or additional niche permits needed to assure that it's okay to film, which can be complicated to understand before engaging in the film permitting process. So you may be able to see that there are a lot of jurisdictions a production may need to engage with both before and after the permitting process. And this engagement impacts people beyond the production team and the permitting jurisdiction. It also impacts the Ventura County businesses, the economy, the community stakeholders, meaning a lot of people are connected in this process. So for this reason, the GIS map would be available for all to serve as a visual representation of the film permitting process, so all stakeholders can understand the role within it. The goal of this map is for it to show the relationships between jurisdictions and the ecologies of film permitting. So for stakeholders, it will serve as an open resource and it would allow any viewer to understand the permitting process. For those who are seeking a film in the county, the guide would also help guide them to which jurisdiction they may need to engage with before entering the permitting process. This resource will be accessible on the Ventura County Film Commission website and then transferred possibly onto the county GIS via tech. The map is found on My Maps through Google, which is a GIS system, and I find it to be a bit more user-friendly for those who use it than the typical GIS maps. So this map is interactive. You can click through the tabs or any of the icons, and it will tell you more about that layer and the level of permitting. So at first, this initial introduction just describes what I'll be showing you today, and it includes also contact information for the Ventura County Film Commission. But this first layer is actually the introduction, and then the rest of the layers are split between the state, county, and city levels, including the special districts, which are permitting jurisdictions. And there are 2 additional resources on here as well as layers, which I'll discuss about a bit later. So to begin with, if you click on the first tab as I have, this boundary of Ventura County is not accurate. So it just kind of indicates a rough sketch of the borders, and it just represents also where the county lies. And I've structured the layers all following the same pattern. So on each layer, you'll find the jurisdictions associated with the ecology and whether it's state or local, and it'll include the contact information and any helpful links that will lead you to the jurisdiction's website to learn more information about how to permit through them. And as a note, I also think it's very important to click and unclick to open the layers, because it can get a bit messy if you were to click all of them at the same time. So this first layer is the introductory layer, which just includes information about filming in Ventura County, how to use the guide. And on this one, actually, I've also included an image, another visual representation of the connections between permitting jurisdictions as the mind map. So this one's less detailed, but as you can see, it dives into which jurisdiction deals with, which ecology deals with which jurisdictions. And it can serve as a way for people to reflect initially which jurisdictions their film may touch upon, or, you know, how connected they really are in this process. Also, on here, I've included 2 mandatory permits or questionnaires that people may need to take regardless of their location. So to begin with the first permitting layer, we have the state jurisdiction. I'm going to go ahead and unclick this one. And here you will find the contact information and the offices that mainly deal with this ecology. In this case, it is the State Film Commission, and there will be a description of which locations fall under their permitting as well, and any useful contact information. So you'll find that there's a description, all the locations associated, as well as the contact information, any email and website that connects to this jurisdiction. There are also tabs about special situations that kind of pertain to the ecology. So in this case, it's filming in state highways. So just to know which permit you'll need in that situation and the contact information. And as mentioned, all of these permitting layers actually follow the same structure. So if I were to go on the county layer, again, that you have the office that is associated with that layer, special situations such as filming in roads, and icons that represent any location that falls under the category. And for this third one, we have the city jurisdictions. Again, it's the same. You have a description of what the city jurisdictions are. Again, keeping in mind that these boundaries of the cities are not exact, but this one is a bit more interactive because a person can simply click on the city to learn more information on it, or on the map. And it will include, again, the main contact, their telephone number, and if found on their website, I did also connect the fees, a website to the fees, just for them to kind of also maybe predict how much it would cost to permit through that city. Lastly, we have the special districts. So again, there is a description of what it means to be a special district and the fact that they have full jurisdictional authority. And these icons here represent, the unified school districts or the colleges, the parks, and any other location that falls under this umbrella of special districts. So this was the last of the permitting layers, but the additional 2 resources that I've included are important because, for example, the most filmed areas in Ventura County. Identifying these I found to be important because it's around 90% of the filming done in Ventura County, and the areas include Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, Lake Sherwood, and the Santa Clara Valley. And just kind of gives us an idea of anybody who's seeing it really, where filming is more dense and where there's more bit of a focus. And if you were to click on a location such as Simi Valley, you'll find also a list of the popular locations and images. So it can also serve as some sort of scouting for a production that may be interested in this area. And finally, the layer which I believe to be the most resilient because it's very important, especially during this time, as with the current pandemic and any wind event that were to occur or a possible fire, this layer is where you would find information on how to continue filming or any protocols that are in place. So currently there's no fires, thankfully, so there's nothing under the fire tab. But if you were to click on the COVID tab, which is the star, oh, it does not work, this one, you will have information, so the guideline to filming, so how to continue and what Ventura County has said. So as mentioned in the beginning of the video, this map will be included on the website for all to access, and it will be found once the website is published. And I've been templating the website to reorganize information found and to make it overall more user-friendly. And this here is an example of what I'm restructuring. So through meetings with Bill, I got an idea of how to restructure and rebuild the website using all the information we already had. So it started with the recategorization and things that I found that are most important to be popped out, like these blue would be pop-ups that would take you to different pages. And then rearranging the top tabs to also have like more simple, direct communication so people know exactly where to go. And currently we're in the process of playing with a site, like playpen site that will be published once I finish it. And I'm hoping it will just be an additional benefit to all stakeholders. So I'm very excited for it to be wrapped up and for all of you to see the benefits that it may bring. So just to conclude, these resources are being placed to benefit all stakeholders in filming in Ventura County. It provides a perspective to all angles and breaks down the complexity of film permitting. And I believe essentially that the GIS map is a transfer of all of Bill's knowledge into an interactive visual, which can serve as a resource to those productions wanting to anticipate how many jurisdictions they may need to contact, or simply just understand the process. So while making these resources, one thing that I did learn was that productions typically come to Ventura County due to the predictability of the process. And this map would further serve jurisdictions in understanding their interconnectedness with each other in film permitting. So I hope these resources serve you all well, and thank you so much for your time. I'll pass it over now to Bill.
So I'd like to share just 26 seconds.
After a lifetime of being the world's most famous enemies,
You can't count on me like 1, 2, 3.
Tom and Jerry are about to start over
Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh, yeah.
in the big city.
That 26 seconds was filmed here in Ventura County. It only appears in the trailer. And if I look at the total budget for that, the budget was about $5,769.23 per second. The local impact was about $17,000, direct impact, about $653.84 a second. That trailer only, or those images only appear in the trailer. They're not in the film. And when I asked Warner Brothers where it came from, Michael did a lovely job of diving into the production. It wasn't in the production section. It wasn't in the animation section. It was buried in a marketing budget. So when I think about who touched this and how it touched Ventura County, it really is a wonderful illustration of how film reaches into the county and how film touches us all. This one touched 3 farming operations, a local memorial district, the adjacent farm. And then let's talk about who permitted it. Ventura County Public Works had an encroachment permit. There was a permit inspector there all day. Ventura County Planning permitted both the shot and the base camp. The Ventura County Business Tax License Division permitted it. Ventura County Fire reviewed it for permit. Ventura County Environmental Health touched this permit because there was catering. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office actually coordinated with Highway Patrol and came by the shot at least 3 times in the course of the day. And then California Highway Patrol and the State Film Commission had coordination. We had 2 units on site all day. So 26 seconds, 26 seconds. Now, Jen talked about Green Lantern, and that's a major production which may have a practical with a train wreck, and it's going to talk to federal and other major permitting. But let's be clear that every production touches huge sections of the county. In our moving forward, we're going to be talking about a quarterly newsletter. One of the registration pieces for what we're doing here is that I asked people to sign up for our initial newsletter. It'll be coming out at the end of this quarter. It'll have information about economic impacts from last year. And then, as Bruce was talking about, the resurgence of film in the first 2 quarters of this year. So we'll be trying to get more in real time for economic impact. And the other issue is that we've had, because of the COVID, a huge number of changes in people, not only at the State Film Commission, but with shifts in folks around the county for permitting. And so the quarterly newsletter will give us an outreach point to reach out and touch folks and make sure that current contact information, current fee structures, current coordination is all maintained. So I'd like to turn just for a moment at this point to the governmental affairs folks. We have two folks on the line, and Michael and Guy, if you could just chime in either about Warner Brothers and Viacom or about industry and partnerships in general, that would be very helpful.
Well,
go ahead.
I defer to Michael as always to go first.
Go ahead, Guy. You're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, well, first of all, Bill, I just want to thank you and everybody at Ventura County. We've got a show that just aired on Warner Brothers HBO Max, Made for Love, which was one of the shows that was filming in Ventura County right as the pandemic hit, and then returned back to filming once all the union agreements were happening. And you know, it was so much with COVID and protests and things going on. Just want to make sure to give a big shout out to everyone in Ventura County and the California Film Commission for helping us get that shoot done and on the air. I come from a community relations background at Film LA for the Los Angeles region. And I think the partnerships of working and knowing the players in each division and office is tremendous, you know, to be able to call and talk to somebody at, say, Public Works or at the Sheriff's Department and have that relationship and be able to solve things at the lowest possible level that's the best way to get things done. And as production continues to ramp up, and we see, you know, everybody here in the 30-mile zone, you know, more and more productions are going to be headed to Ventura County, first of all, for some of the great locations and rural settings it shows, but just because it's too crowded here, we need better locations and more variety. So this is great. And as a huge proponent of GIS, I love seeing that, and it is only going to make it so much easier for productions and location managers. So major props.
Michael?
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Guy. Well, as I mentioned, Warner Brothers is a longtime user of Ventura County locations. And sometimes it's relatively simple, although, as Bill points out, even 26 seconds of an animated live action combo isn't simple, but we do things from that to the very much more complex, for those who remember The Little Things, this Denzel Washington film that did some filming out there over a year ago, and that's now available on HBO Max for a while. But I too want to echo Guy's point that having the folks in Ventura County, all the agencies, to be able to work together to make things more streamlined. Our biggest problem with production, and those of you who deal with it regularly know this, that film and television production moves at a very fast pace, and government just isn't generally set up for that, right? This is not how, you know, if you think about building a building in your city, you know, there's a long process you go through for, you know, planning and, you know, everybody's, you know, plan checks and all that, and things take a while. But with film and television production, it's literally within days that we need some things to happen often. And so being able to coordinate and respond quickly is huge help to us. And I also reinforce Guy's point, production is only increasing, that we were only doing more production. Warner Brothers / Warner Media, which is our parent company. So that would include Warner Brothers, HBO, and Turner Networks. Between those three, right now we have more than 125 TV series in production around the world. And that doesn't even count the feature films that our feature film division is doing. So just to give you an idea, the production numbers are going to increase, which means more filming in Ventura, certainly.
Thank you, Michael. So I'd like to open up to specifically Public Works. I want to highlight County Public Works because they're sort of the unsung hero of a lot of what we've got going on. And in fact, during shutdown, when things were beginning to reopen, it was Public Works who actually got a lot of the initial surge from film. And so Gerald, maybe just a quick touch to you in terms of the process and the fact that you have put everything online and your team has been very responsive.
Yeah, I don't have any prepared statements right now, but yes, we do remember the surge. I think it started in June. There was quite a few films in September, and our staff really did step up to the plate to issue those permits. We do have a lot of information online that's available to help you with your permit applications. I think what I would say is that it helps to know exactly what you want to do in the roadway. I know that when you work with the county, you're working with two different agencies. You're working either in the road or you're working on private property. So you have to deal with two different agencies, and we do coordinate with each other. It helps us if you're going to close the roadway, we have to do a traffic order and we have to involve our road commissioner. So there's a certain lead time that we need in order to do some of these things. And I know that filming works at a very fast, quick pace. Sometimes there's a lot of changes to the permit application, but I believe that we respond well, and we have gotten lots of kudos from the film industry for what we've accomplished. I don't know what else I can say.
I think that really covers it. I think the challenge here is that this is people. The film industry is not about marketing per se, at least in my experience. It's about people interacting with people, people solving problems, people being clear. I don't know how many times I've started, or not so much now, but early on, a permit would call and say, we're very small. And it was almost a discussion about what they weren't doing instead of what they were doing. One of the things that I like about the permitting processes in Ventura County is, first of all, a no is a hard no. We don't play the maybe game. And the second thing is we're clear about process to move through. So to your point, that idea that we literally, you say, this is what we are going to do. You need to be clear about that, because then that's what we're permitting. That's what we're creating the encroachment for. That's what we're creating the public safety support for. And I just want to reiterate that. And I know, Guy, you and I have had this conversation. Michael, you and I have had this conversation. And Gerald, I know that the team that's worked with Geraldine and planning and everybody else at the county has really pushed that. The other thing I wanted to call out is that during 2020, we had several TAC alerts. And what that meant was that Highway Patrol was not available. And specifically to Guy's production, the Ventura County Sheriff, there's a process by which the state Highway Patrol releases local jurisdiction to cover. And that is a process. It has to go through Highway Patrol. That occurred, a TAC alert was declared, and local sheriff was able to cover to provide law enforcement support for an encroachment permit for Guy's production. We had that happen over here in the Santa Clara Valley, and we also had it happen over in Camarillo and over in the Santa Monica Mountains. And that's really a testament to jurisdictions that don't necessarily talk to each other, and we really had to learn how to make that awareness come up. And when Jenny was talking within her presentation about those production alerts, that's the kind of alert that has got to be elevated, simply because we have seasons here: fire, flood, wind, and film production needs to know about that. When we had the Thomas fire, we were suddenly famous for doing burned out B-roll. I would get calls for mostly road encroachment to get images of recently burned roadsides. And so the permits that we were seeing were an encroachment permit with intermittent traffic control, and their only purpose was to get recent borate bomber, fire troll bomb, pink painted, and burnout. And that didn't last very long. People rushed in. So there's a lot of taking advantage of working landscape for B-roll or framing roll that Ventura serves a whole bunch. Any other comments, Gerald?
No.
So I'd like to we've got a couple of sort of specialty stars here. One is the Jewel Johnson and the other is Nikki Davey. Jewel or Nikki, any comments about your unique resources and unique permitting relationships?
The MRCA, the uniqueness about our properties is open space. So when it comes to the COVID restrictions, it's not a big problem because everyone's outdoors and they're using in areas that are not that busy. So the production companies, they can have the little bubble. And our agency monitors, we're basically there to protect the resource and make sure that the permittee is adhering to the permit. So again, that's unique. We have a couple of properties that we have buildings that they want to use, but for the most part, our bread and butter is the open spaces, small productions, 20 to 40 people. On 3,000 acres. So, but yeah, we're pretty streamlined on our process. There's not many people at the agency, so you're going to get a call back if you call us, and we respond very quickly, and we try to work through the process. I like to tell also the productions, when you fill out your application, put your dreams down on there. I'll tell you if I can grant them or not. Even if you're not going to use it, don't leave us with any surprises. Just be broad as you be, specific, be detailed. And again, I'll either say yes or no, but if you want to do it on the day of filming, that's not going to work because that's a surprise. We need to know what your movements are on our property because, it is special habitat.
Thank you, Jewel. Nikki? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm pretty much the same as Jewel, I think. We have a mostly open space, and I'm extremely lucky that I have Corriganville, which is a designated film location for us. So we're free from a lot of the other issues that people have. So I've done very well in Corriganville. In fact, our film permitting looks like it's beating 2019, and my 2020 film permitting was pretty much on keel with 2019, and I'm already beating both of those figures leading into May this year. So we're doing really well. We have done inside a couple of our buildings. Our buildings are pretty easy to use, again, not a lot of people, that kind of thing, but it's the outside spaces and mainly Corriganville that I've been able to keep up with our filming here. And because of everything else that shut down, filming was our only source of income for the district for last year. So that has saved us quite a bit just to recoup some of those losses. We're getting a little bit busier now, so unfortunately my little golden bubble is over. I'm having to compete with classes and other things again. I did enjoy it when we were in bigger restrictions because I was able to say yes a lot more. Again, because they had free reign. But again, we're doing a good balance. And I'm very lucky that I can work with my permits cross over a lot with private enterprise as well as places like the city, Hummingbird Ranch, Allied, and even the MCIA. So just working with everybody and knowing who they are and being able to call people is extremely important. So I like the idea of having that up-to-date contact list and knowing who to ring, because if I've got a permit and I see that they're encroaching on somebody else, and I can call them for that person or give them that information, can save a permit rather than them thinking it's way too hard and them going somewhere else, because there is always somewhere else they can go. And if we can solve a lot of those problems for them, I think that that keeps them here. And I think that's one of Ventura County's biggest assets is our customer service, and being able to, willing to help everybody and anybody, whether it's a two-man person with just a little handheld camera to the big productions. If you treat everybody the same, then they'll just keep coming back more and more.
Can't emphasize and agree with you enough that idea that it's about answering the phone. It's about people communicating with people and not getting into this sort of distance. Yes, we want to rigorize and automate as much as possible for permitting and getting data in. At the end of the day, production occurs because of people.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
I'd like to open it up to general questions or comments from the floor. So maybe we can open it back up so we can see everybody on the screen. And is there any other comment from the general folks?
I have one, Bill.
Yes.
In regards to some of the comments that Michael made about the production coming out. So I think one of the most difficult things here is that we get film permits that want to do ITC, IPC in a residential area. And that does take time because there is outreach to the residents. I think, having a really good traffic plan in the beginning and knowing that you have to work with the neighbors and the residents is going to make the turnaround time a lot faster. We want them to film here. We just need to have them cooperate with our neighbors. And especially when you're shutting down a street, there's no way to get around it. And it's difficult. So that would really be beneficial because we oftentimes follow up with, okay, show us your traffic plan. Where are you going to park? It goes a lot of back and forth.
Linda, it's Michael, and I would agree with you. When you talk, especially when you talk about road closures, the shows need to make sure they give jurisdictions enough time. And I think most good location managers certainly know that. Yeah, agree.
Just one of the things that, because we are location driven, we'll get calls saying, yeah, I'd like a blanket driving permit. Well, we don't do that. And one of the things is to stop being apologetic for it and equally be in a position to say, here's how you do this. Here's the process. So we're not arguing about, is it okay or is it not okay? Just, this is the pathway forward. And the jurisdictions have gotten, Linda, what you just said is absolutely accurate. So if I get a call from production, I can go back and say, well, you need to do a traffic plan. This is about partnering with, not competing against. Other comments, questions?
I'll hop in with one. It's Bruce. I think this is a question for Eric. And I'm not sure I can even put it in the shape of a question, but in all the other work that we do with other industry sectors, it's the complicated, and I'm sure Kim and Tricia and others can comment on this as well. We're constantly navigating. We went from red or whatever color to orange, and we're going to go to yellow, and the governor says we're going to be kind of free on June 15th. Are you seeing anything that has come out, what we might anticipate in June 15th? Are we completely beyond restriction then, or are we throwing away the tiers? Are you hearing anything from the governor's office? And maybe that's a question for Kim as well, from the county's point of view. What does it mean that we're moving closer to getting out of these restrictions?
Well, I heard anything directly from the state in terms of what the June 15th will, reopening everything will mean. Certainly because the industry has instituted the safety protocols they did, we are generally, able to accommodate pretty much anything. And some counties still have restrictions on crew size. Some have it only for certain areas. I think that hopefully will lift or the size will be increased. I don't know what, when it's going to be, we can all say, oh, well, the pandemic is over and we don't need these protocols anymore. It might be part, they might be part of our daily working environment for quite a while. Until things get down to zero, I would think, which I will.
Kim or Trish, do you have any sort of comments from the county's anticipation of what it means?
I'm hoping Kim Prilhart is on the line because she's the one who's been more involved in that. But I don't know if she's maybe somewhere else. I don't personally have any information related to that.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad question because we're still looking for it regarding all other industry sectors. I guess the thought going back to Eric's comment though would be, we can probably anticipate that a lot of these protocols that have been established aren't going away just because there is a change in the governor's statement about what tier we're in. Some of these processes and safety procedures are probably with us for a while, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If they're working, they're working.
Bruce, this is Paul Stamper. I can update you with some of what I've heard from comments from Rigo Vargas, our public health officer or director of public health, which is to say that what's been communicated from the state is that the tiers for reopening could potentially go away. And again, there's the caveat based on hospitalizations and infections, but things like mask wearing and some of the other protective measures are likely to stay, but they're simply, in other words, we can be fully open, but there's still going to be some things in place where we are, the state's asking folks to be careful about, preventing the spread while they're going about those activities.
Thanks. And then I'll throw one more out and then I'll be quiet. This goes maybe to the Film Commission and probably to our industry folks. Appreciate you being here. Maybe you've already addressed it and I didn't catch it, but should we be anticipating come June, July, a real huge increase in production activity because we've been so thwarted? I mean, just the volume of stuff that is produced anymore just to keep up with Netflix is mind-numbing to me. And if that hasn't been happening, is there about to be this massive bubble of activity ready to burst out there? Anyone care to speculate?
Well, so it's Michael Walbrecht. So I'll turn my camera on, sorry. The major players like the Netflix and the Disney Plus, Warner Brothers, HBO Max, they've all signaled that for the at least foreseeable future, production will continue to increase. I think Netflix is now pledging that they're going to spend something like $14 billion this year on production, on content. Warner Media across our platforms, we're probably 12 billion. I mean, so that the numbers are staggering. And so I just don't see, now it is worldwide and production has really moved, we have a TV series in New Zealand, for God's sake, so you never would have thought we would have ever done that. So it's not all concentrated in Southern California, but Southern California is still the epicenter, right? And so I think you're going to continue to see production increase in Ventura County over the next, I can't see it any less than the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I would just echo what Michael's saying. I don't think you're going to see suddenly, come June 1st, all the production trucks in the world running into Ventura County, but you're seeing a very slow, steady buildup that's just going to continue and continue. As long as people continue to want that content, it's just going to keep coming. And, you know, that's every production meeting I'm seeing. I mean, it's like, here's 5 new shows, 6-12 months down the road. So just look for this gradual, steady increase over the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, if I was the owner of a warehouse of space in Ventura County that had clear span that I could turn into a soundstage, essentially, I would do that because you could rent it out very consistently.
Good to know from an economic development perspective.
Hey, Bruce, could we, Brian, I see you're there, Brian Gordon from Allied. Could you comment, because you were part of that resurgence and the studio was at essentially 150% capacity. Are you sleeping at all at this point?
No.
Could you talk a little bit about process and how you sort of have managed?
So we've been very fortunate. You know, Ventura started to open a little bit before LA, and kind of got pulled back a little bit just with union deals and so forth. So, you know, but we definitely got on the map and started pulling people out this way much quicker. And as of June and July and kind of those windows, people are blowing up our phones. I think a combination, they think more people will be vaccinated. I don't see that the inner of the crew changing much. They're still going to keep a lot of the protocols in place, even if the state releases it, just for quite some, you know, I think it's going to go till the end of the year easily. But as of people calling for holds or, you know, whatever, it's really starting to blow up kind of June, July. I mean, I think it's going to be a good end of the year.
I lied. I had another thought and comment I want to throw out there.
After you, Bruce.
Given the worldwide disruption that was and still is pandemic, and for years California has been responding one way or another to film flight and doing a lot with tax credits and other policy and practice to get it back. Does pandemic improve the prospects for more happening and for California to retain more, or is it an irrelevant variable? The fact that we have really strong local safety protocols, at least the industry can see them and know them. But then again, I don't know what the heck's going on in the rest of the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the protocols are industry-wide for us, meaning we negotiated with our unions and guilds these protocols, and so we use them anywhere now for the most part, right? And so the safety, and by the way, I didn't mention the numbers, but they're pretty impressive. At Warner Media, across our shows, because testing is so important to our crews, you know, actors have to work with their masks off, so anybody near camera is getting tested between 3 and 5 times a week, a COVID test. Worldwide, in the last 6 months, Warner Brothers / Warner Media HBO has administered 985,000 COVID tests to cast and crew. So we've opened better than 60 labs because you can't send 150 cast and crew members down to the local CVS to get a test every day because they're away from the set. You're paying them to be away from the set. So we've had to open labs in our productions, essentially. So 985,000 COVID tests in the last 6 months. And of that, 1,970 positives out of 985,000 tests. So the numbers are exceptionally low, 0.2% positivity rate. So I think that the proof is there that the protocols work, and we're generally using them worldwide. And so there isn't probably the one thing Ventura / California has going for it, / I even say the US has going for it, I suppose, is that we don't have any issues with quarantine. Right now, if we send people to Canada, we quarantine them for 14 days in a hotel before they can start working for us. In the UK, it's 5 days before they can test out. So those kind of things make it a little more difficult to be in production foreign, but generally speaking, from a safety protocol, they're very similar across the country, across the world.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, and I think there's a comfort level of people not wanting to travel quite yet. So actors want to stay home, they want to stay local. You know, if they can hop in their personal car and drive, you know, 20 minutes or 30 minutes or even an hour, they're more comfortable than hopping on an airplane, sitting in a hotel, whatever. So.
Great, thanks.
Emily? Oh, hold on, we can't hear you. You're showing unmuted. She's going to jump out and jump back in. Any other comments, thoughts? One of the things I'm seeing is that we're having complete shots come to live here, or complete series come to live here. Ventura, City of Ventura has picked up Mythbusters, and that has been really interesting because their production office is here. So they have both a production office and are doing location shooting all around. When they were starting up, it was pretty interesting just to watch them. Emily, let's see if you're back. Try again.
We'll see. Is the audio working now?
Yes.
Beautiful. I just have to say, I appreciate you bringing us all together virtually. I know a positive from COVID pandemic is everyone's comfort level with jumping on meetings like this, so that, you know, we can still do a pseudo face-to-face, but especially for productions where there's so much jurisdictional crossover, rather than doing what at times we've done, because we're all spread so thin, of I'm going to be in the silo and do the City of Ventura's piece, and then the production has to do all the legwork to coordinate with the different agencies, which can be tough. I love that now it's so much easier for us to all hop on a call. We've got more time because you don't always have to factor in the traveling to and from wherever the medium location is going to be. But so that hopefully moving forward, we can, you know, really streamline and work together and get through those roadblocks and challenges to, like you said, make it easier. So adding that to what you've put together for the kind of virtual coordination with the GIS map and all that, I'm actually really excited because I think it's going to be so beneficial for the production companies and all of our agencies. So I want to thank you for that and your team that's working on it, because I think it's going to be a game changer.
Thank you. We didn't touch on the resources of the county GIS, which actually is what drives all of the permitting and is the how Jen was able to sort of build that back end. So the county GIS is the county resource. And as we have built into it, as Geraldine and Tricia are supporting that, as Kim is supporting that, as county GIS services are supporting that, it's just becoming more and more robust. I'd like to also call out a couple of thank yous to Jamie up in Ojai and John in Santa Paula, because those are unique, and also See Film See Me. Those are really unique in that the call can go to a permit or a permit location, but because Santa Paula is used so heavily, because See is used so heavily, and because the Ojai Valley is much larger than just the little tiny city of Ojai, having another voice, Downtown Ventura is another resource that I use quite a lot, having another resource to help coordinate so that there is a person, a face, someone answering the phone who knows where the bodies are buried, knows who to talk to, and is good at saying, look, here are the parameters, and making sure that everybody is aware of that. So just any comments from those coordinating folks, John or Lema or Jamie?
No, I can chime in real quick. So, yeah, it's over this past year where I've been working with the city to revamp everything we've done over the last year, streamlined everything. We found a lot of stuff that was really not relevant to what we've had in the past. So, working with the Parks and Rec Department, and we've actually identified areas for improvement and just stuff that's unnecessary, and then adding the new COVID protocol requirements. And but the one thing we've done is we've actually partnered together with because the city asked the chamber to kind of oversee the business and the community as the liaisons, and Carlos, who's on the call too, he's our manager for this. But the fact that he works for the city as well, we all kind of work together. We sit with the police chief, the new police chief. We figured out new protocols for closing off streets. We work with several other organizations within the community. So we had a disconnect of not being together on the same page. And now we all kind of understand what each other's doing. We know the expectations of everybody. So it's made it easier when a location manager comes in and asks questions. We kind of guide them. The chamber actually helps guide them and give them the resources. And it helps the city because sometimes they don't have the resources to spend the time with the location managers. So we're here as a customer service for them to get them all the information they need. And so it's streamlined it, and it's made it so much easier for us to do. And we've become a lot more welcoming, and we've eliminated a lot of the red tape that was always there. So that's helped quite a bit over this last year.
I'd like to echo and also to say, Bill, it goes two ways. It's so nice to have your office and people to answer the questions. Just 2 weeks ago, when one of the location managers was scouting our valley, it's hard because the city boundaries go all over the place, and then we have all the county lands, and it seemed like every other scene they wanted to shoot, I'd have to pull out the maps and go, now you're back in county. Okay, now you're in city. And so I'm looking forward to also getting the GIS map and learning how to really use that. It sounds like a really great tool.
It makes those determinations really simple. The county GIS and poking around with it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lema?
Sorry, having a little technical difficulties. Just to kind of reiterate what everybody else said, Film Simi Valley is fairly new. It's under the tourism, Visit Simi Valley, right under tourism. We are more so on the side of marketing, so we're obviously not processing permitting, but we want to be the central hub of filming in Simi Valley. So all the go-to information will be available on our website. We have a brochure that's also available. So that's where we want to be more so, is just being that central hub of information. You can get all your permits on our website. They're interactive, so you can fill them out. All of our filming locations listed on there. So I think for us, it's also really great that we meet monthly, myself and the locations, as well as our government officials, and we're able to bounce challenges off of each other. And I'm learning as I go. I have a tourism background. I don't have a film background, so this for me is very new, but just being able to bounce things off of each other and kind of learn and gather information, whereas also our locations are referring to each other. So I think for us, it's really great in seeing that, and hopefully we'll expand on that with further in Ventura County, which I know our locations already do that now.
Just a comment to, while you talk about marketing and talk about your sort of reach out, you also answer your phone. And yeah. In several cases, we've had people make a call, connect with Brian or connect with you. And because someone says yes and then walks a production through the online resources, there's this huge education component that has been happening consistently over the past year. And I realize this is my 6th year or into my 7th year doing this. And 90% of what we're doing is educating and being in relationship not only with each other, but also with the production, because location managers graduate, film scouts graduate, directors graduate, and the more that we can foster that ongoing education piece, the better we do with production. Is there anybody else desiring to comment or add? Emily, is there anybody else that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, so if you're on camera or off, go ahead and use that raise hand feature. And if I see anybody, I'll let you know. But so far, I don't see anything. Anybody else have questions, comments, feedback?
Then I think we don't need to belabor. This has been recorded. It will be going out to and available to everybody who attended, and also going out to everybody who was invited. If there are other folks who need to see or be aware of the resource, please feel free to reach out to me. And if I'm not hearing any other comments or questions, Bruce, I'd kick it back to you.
I'm good. I just so appreciate everybody's time, participation, the good work that you're doing, and the busy work that you'll be doing ahead of us all. It has me very excited. So if you need moral support, we'll buy the drinks and provide the support. As long as we're buying local, as they say. I just want to say thanks to Lee and Eric, of course, all the folks from the industry. Well, I could just go through the list, the various public and private entities, the chambers, really appreciate it. It is a whole village or ecosystem, choose your metaphor, it's all true. So thanks, I'm good. Bill, I guess we're good then. Rosie, are you there?
I am here. I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank Bill and you and the team at EDC and Visionality for putting this together.
Cool, all. Let's go do some business then. Buy some lunch.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Nikki Davy has her hand raised.
Okay.
Just in the nick of time.
There you are. I see.
I always have to have one last thing. I meant to raise this earlier, but I know some of the people at the City of Simi Valley have the same frustration I have. I guess the only frustration and issue that I find with some of this is the private film permit services. You know, a lot of my permits have, they use one of these services, and I think a lot of our frustration and a lot of our issues come from these services. And half the time, I'm not sure why they go through these permit services. I know both the city and I have tried to educate them several times. I've sent several documents over to all of the ones that I was able to identify, you know, even in LA, but that doesn't seem to have helped. And I don't know if anyone else has the same issues with that, but okay, good. I don't know what the answer is, but it's something I want to think about and see what we can possibly do to maybe correct some of these issues, because I don't know why it is, but that's confusing to so many of the productions, location scouts, and issues that we get is from that source.
Could I have a comment to that? And I know, Emily, with little things, we certainly had that experience right up until we were actually talking with the production, and the production was sitting in the room, because the permit service would go out and provide information, but then it wasn't clear what the permit service was actually doing relative to the production. And the other issue that we've had is a permit service will be the point of contact, and then all of a sudden you'll get a location manager, or worst of all, a producer who is in there and you're not sure who you're actually permitting with. So
Eric, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Eric.
Well, Nikki, I can just say that productions use permit services as a tool to free up time for location people, and also as a way to get around what are sometimes cumbersome accounting departments at studios that take a long time to get a check.
Oh, okay.
And so having the permit service be the one to make the payment and then bill the company is much more efficient for some of them. I share your frustration. We have
we deal with all the permit services as well. And there's often not a very good communication between the permit service and the production. You know, something always seems to get lost in translation. And it's generally because on the permit, you know, it's highlights, you know, that are put in. It isn't as detailed as you would have if you were having a conversation with someone about exactly what they want to do and where they want to do it. They have to kind of fill in a space in a permit application, and they make it as brief as they can. Or they put the largest window just to cover themselves. There's a lot of this covering themselves because they don't have all the information, and a company will call them up and say, get me a permit for this place, you know, and so they'll just put in, you know, boilerplate basically. Even the production doesn't know yet exactly what they want to do. So it's really a matter of improving, I think, the communication and letting everybody know that it needs to be improved, and also maintaining that kind of point of contact. There's nothing better than talking to actually the location person, you know, and getting the full story. But the permit service has to be, you know, in line with the production wants to do. I have noticed a lot of new people in working for the permit services since the pandemic started. So there's certainly a learning curve there as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think we had, what I've seen in CME and Heidi as well, is that when dealing with a location manager, especially with ITC, IPC, a big shoot, versus a permit company, it's much smoother with the location manager. When you throw in the third party, it seems like we're all running around, not only the production company, the film permit company, but staff. So that missing communication is key, I think.
It's really helpful to understand that it's about the money, and that it's actually about, part of what every time I do this, I learn something new. Money is a big problem, and the accounting side of film is incredibly cumbersome. And to know that, all of us who deal with public finance, we might be a little cumbersome too. So maybe just leveraging that little piece of knowledge and cutting through some of that, it's helpful.
Thanks for bringing that up. It wasn't, interesting. Understood. All right, anything else? Then Bill, it's to you. Wrap it up and we're home.
Just thanks to everybody. Thanks to everyone who was here, and I look forward to our next installment.
All right. Thanks
all.
Thank you.
Safe out there.
Bye.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, everyone. It was nice to connect.